The whole goal of what I just shared is you put people into your ecosystem that you can now nurture along as time goes on. And most importantly, you have control over how much you connect with them, what they read and see, and how they feel about your brand. Welcome back to the Elite Business Advice podcast. If you're new here, my name's Chris Moore. I'm the founder of Elite Business Advisors, your host for the EBA podcast. Today we're going to talk about marketing, but maybe not really in a normal sense, but instead in a way that I want to talk about how do you build out a funnel of people that potentially could need your services and a database to use that you actually have control over. And to me, everything we're going to talk about today, that is the key. It's not, what we see is a lot of painters kind of wait and just see what comes to them. And that can work for a season until sometimes it doesn't. And at that point, sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it takes a lot of momentum to get the wheel moving again, right? And so I want to kind of think through this, and this is something I would suggest every single person listening to this kind of focus on or integrate into their marketing strategy for the year, their marketing plan, whatever you will. But also spend some time, to do these things. Make sure that it's all on somebody's to-do list, that there's accountability, whether it's you, an admin, somebody that you want to outsource this to. Because even if you're running, truthfully, if you're running Facebook ads, you're still waiting to see what comes of it. You spend money every month hoping that you get the leads you need. Now, again, with data, with trends, we can see that. And I can't say that this is something that, you have 100% control over, but there's a lot of things that we can do to help influence estimates to come in. And so again, this isn't an end-all be-all solution to marketing, but yet one more thing that we should think about. And again, if your back's against the wall, this is a good idea to work on, right? Because again, you've got some control over this. And so I want to cover today how we add people to your funnel, your database. It's all kind of one and the same in my opinion. What channels to use to do that. But then more importantly, how do we leverage this funnel to generate estimates for your business? And if nothing else today, you're going to leave here with a new perspective on how you should be using your social media as a nurture campaign, not just pumping content out there aimlessly. So I hope it helps. Thanks for plugging in. This is the Elite Business Advice podcast. So as we dive right into this, let's talk about how do we build out kind of the top of funnel. If you've never heard the term marketing funnel before, let me just give you some kind of quick background and education on it. Marketing funnel is kind of, you think about it, that at the top, picture a funnel, right? Anything you would use to funnel paint, funnel gas, anything like that, picture a funnel. Or I guess food too, that's another option. At the top of the funnel is the widest. And this is kind of where everybody's going to enter into your world, your ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. And then as they go down, they're more likely, and at the bottom is they're requesting estimates, right? And so how do we get more people into the top of the funnel to where then we can do things that eventually leads to estimates at the bottom of that funnel? It's kind of the thought and the visual I want you to have as we talk about this. And so for step one, how do we build out and how do we get more people into our funnel, into our ecosystem, into our database? Again, I'm going to use those terms interchangeably throughout this episode. Number one, social media followers. Every single person that follows one of your social media accounts, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, whether it's X or whatever it is that's coming down the road when you're listening to this, they are part of your funnel. And this is where I want you to really shift your mindset about social media. For your business, what I see a lot of times, I see some people that post good content, and then I see some people that are literally just throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. And there's no intentionality behind it. And we need to realize that people that are following your social media page, we should be creating content that helps move them down that funnel into action, right? Now, not everybody's going to. We need to understand that, and that's okay. And I'll kind of share some of that. If you go look at our page, we have content that's just value add. It's education based. It's things that we see. It's things we get to benchmark with all of our clients and friends throughout this industry. And then there's things that we do that we'll put in there that is to try to help spur somebody into action. It's, hey, here's why clients like to work with us. Hey, here's one of the problems we solve for clients. Like, we'll throw some stuff in there, and I'm trying to be extra intentional about this as we get into this year and kind of redoing how we're utilizing some of our marketing stuff. But we want to like hit kind of all angles there, right? And what I see a lot of people is it's just like, before and after pictures, this, that, and it's not like, how do we actually, why would somebody want to take action to reach out for an estimate, right? So number one, social media. Also on that note, I think it's important, I'm being honest with you, to engage, friend, connect, even personally, with your clients on social media. I've shared this before on here as we talk about social media. I think staying connected with people, anybody that pops up, anybody you have a good relationship with, I don't think there's anything wrong if you find them on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, right? One thing I want to point out, I think Instagram is like the main kind of platform right now to focus on. TikTok is going to be what TikTok is. I think Facebook is, still a relevant place. A lot of people spend a lot of time there. But Instagram seems to be really where a lot of people are at. The messaging platform is one of the best on there. Actually, it's rivaling Snapchat. Dan Martell shared that on our coaching call last week. That, Instagram's messaging, like there's just a lot of things about Instagram that is a very attractive place to live. So if you're not leveraging Instagram, get on there, do it. It's also in my opinion, again, as we talk about connecting and engaging and stuff with clients or with other contractors or referral partners, that to me is a better place. I think there's some dichotomy that we have between like friending someone on Facebook and just following them on Instagram. So just so you know on that, I think that like Instagram's a much less threatening place. Again, I still friend people on Facebook. I would encourage it. But for some people, they feel weird about that for whatever reason because it's friending them. Anyways, so a couple just quick thoughts on that. So another place, top of funnel, anybody that requests an estimate. We know that everybody that requests an estimate is not going to turn into an actual estimate completed. So every person that requests an estimate, especially if they turn into a cold lead, is now at the top of your funnel. How do we nurture them along? Another one, every single person that you meet, that you get their contact info. Okay. If I have a conversation with somebody in an event, whatever it is, I'm going to try to, again, follow them on Instagram. If I get their contact info, they're going into the database. Like, to me, that's just a no-brainer, right? If they give you a business card, put them into your email database, right? Whatever that can look like. So, again, be intentional about this, or think to people you have business cards of, anything. Another thing that you can do to really build out your top of funnel is leverage a directory from a group that's designed for this, mind you, to have a big bulk ad at one time, right? I think Chamber, I think BNI, I think other small groups, I think any type of group that's like there's a directory. Now, I'm not saying to get online and just go start searching people and add like thousands and thousands of people into your funnel right now. I wouldn't do that, right? But if you're new into a group, I don't think there's anything wrong with adding them into your, value add email. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, right? I don't think it's wrong to try to connect with them on Instagram or, on Facebook or anything. Okay. So again, these groups are designed to connect in the community. So think about that. And again, this is where I just want to hit some kind of, Dan always calls them belief blockers. I call them limiting beliefs, where I will hear people say, well, I feel weird doing that. If you stop and think why people join BNI, it's because they want to connect with people and get referrals. So it's okay, right? And then guess what? If they want to unsubscribe from your email, they can. It's not a big deal, right? And so don't be like, oh, I feel weird about this. Maybe again, wait till you're 3 weeks into the group and not the very first day you visit. But at the end of the day, again, community, connection. This is why people are involved in these things. So don't feel weird about doing that, okay? Another thing that works, I feel like we did a whole episode on this way early on. We just celebrated episode 250, so it was probably 220 to 230 episodes ago, I feel like. And I don't remember where. Maybe we've done a couple episodes on it. But one thing that can work too is a lead generator. And what a lead generator is it's something that you put together of value that people will want or can benefit from, that you give away for free and pretty much exchange for their email or their, whatever, right? I just do email typically because, again, we want to just put them into that marketing funnel. So you could also make them follow you on Instagram, whatever this is, right? But a couple things that just kind of quickly come to mind. Maybe it's the top 7 things to know when repainting your home. Maybe it's the top 5 benefits of paint most people miss, right? Believe it or not, it's more than just color, right? Maybe you partner with an interior designer or a real estate agent or somebody and, create like top 5 tips from an interior designer or top 5 tips from a realtor if you're thinking about selling your house this year. Like, there's so many different ways you can do this, and then there's so many places you can put this, right? I mean, you could run Facebook ads just with the lead generator on it. You could put this out, on your social media and in different places. Again, there's a lot of different ways that you can use this, but again, it's pretty much a homeowner saying like, hey, I would like this information. Here's my information. Most people, again, can get a lot of leads and build out your database that way. So again, it's kind of an outside the box thought, but be creative and think about it. Okay. The whole goal of what I just shared is you put people into your ecosystem that you can now nurture along as time goes on. And most importantly, you have control over how much you connect with them, what they read and see, and how they feel about your brand. Okay. So that is the goal of this. We want to build out our funnel to where then now we can market to them. We can do things to hopefully generate estimates. Things are slow. We can ramp up some stuff that's going out to them, right? When they're in the funnel in the ecosystem. Most people, again, maybe you've been operating for 7 years. I hope that you still have your CRM from that whole 7 years or bits and pieces of it to export, because you've got a pretty big database and maybe you're not leveraging it the way you should. And so again, we could go down a rabbit hole. We could talk about AI. Like, we have something set up to where every time somebody fills out the contact form on our website, they automatically go into our MailChimp database, into our CRM and all this stuff, right? I recommend MailChimp. I didn't say this yet. I recommend MailChimp for your email database. Super easy to do, super simple, pretty cost effective, not super expensive to do. To me, it works very seamlessly with a lot of these things, again, where you can maybe have some automations as well. When a lead comes in through Paint Scout, maybe it can connect into MailChimp as well, or it can, zap over through Zapier for that. So let's talk about the what now. Okay, that's the how do we build out the funnel? How do we build out the database? Let's talk about the what. The what for me is a couple of things, and I'm going to focus this mostly on social media and email blasts. Text blasts can work. I don't love it. I truthfully don't. We're starting to get spam left and right about this stuff. I don't need my dry cleaning company to send me a text every week. Like, I quickly unsubscribed from that. There's just things that I feel like we're starting to get blasted a little bit with that. Again, in the right situation, it can work. So if you have their phone number loaded in, again, I know MailChimp has a texting feature, a lot of different things out there. It's an option. I wouldn't spam it as much. I'm going to focus more on the social and the email blast. So I mentioned earlier that we want to do creative content that resonates with people on social media. This is a very important thing that we want to make sure that we are putting content out there that's going to make sense for the people that are in our funnel, right? Yes, you're going to have people that randomly follow you. You're going to have people that accidentally follow you from a reel because they were trying to scroll and they hit the follow button. It's happened to me before. I'm like, when did I follow this person? I'm like, I was watching that reel the other night. I must have accidentally clicked it. So that's going to happen. But I pretty much view it that if you're following me or you're following our business or my painting company, you're interested at least in the type of work that we do, right? So I want to create content that, again, might move you along that funnel. And I want to mix it up. I don't want to make it all about, estimates. But we've talked a couple times over the last few weeks about what's the common pain point? What's the pain point? What's the solution? That should be the framework you think through creating some content for. It's best when you can throw in some client testimonials and some different things in there, right? Because, again, quick example, most homeowners hate working with contractors because of their unreliability. But here at Elite Painting, we pride ourselves on communication, professionalization, showing up, and following through on what we told you we were going to do. And we will over-communicate during the process so that you never have to wonder what's going on with your project, when are we coming, any details. Simple, right? Just something that's quick, easy, simple, that we can highlight, we can use it. Maybe you end up using that video on your website, right? There's a lot of different ways you can do this, but think about the content you're putting out there on social and make sure that again, in a variety of the before and afters, the cool projects, different things, and I'll talk more about that in a second, that we're doing things that are pain point, solution. Why does somebody want to work with you? Maybe, and here's the cool thing, you're going to people follow you that don't need a paint job for the next 2 years. It's not on their radar. They need landscaping done. They want to put a pool in. They have all these things. This is where, again, I want you to shift your perspective on social here, because over time, as you build your funnel, as you build your followers on social, all these things, you will get people that will eventually need and want your services. Okay. When we built our house 4 years ago now, we had been following Spencer Homes for probably 3 years before we even had a conversation with them, at least. It was kind of like, that was like our dream. Like, if and when we want to build, like, Spencer's going to be the one that builds our house. We actually honestly thought that they were just like way so far out of our budget, like it wasn't even an option until we had a conversation. It was like, oh, this is actually a little bit more realistic than we thought. You guys just do a great job of highlighting your stuff on social, and you do high quality work, but guess what? It's somewhat of a reasonable, affordable price, right? But from the vibe we got on social, I'm like, man, this company is legit. They do high quality work, which they do, and they did. And like, we just had this perception of what it was going to be until, again, we were like, oh, maybe do we entertain this? Like, really, we had the conversation of like, is this a now thing or is this a like 5 to 7 year plan? And it quickly turned into a now thing. That's a whole nother story I probably shared years ago. So, but I say that to say, we followed Spencer Homes for 2 to 3 years before we ever even reached out to entertain where this fell into our timeline for our life. That's the power of social media. Nurture people along. Post the cool content. Post the cool projects. Post the inspiration. It was really easy-ish. We had an amazing designer, thankfully. But it was pretty easy for us because we were starting to see over all the years of them posting their houses and features and kitchens and design and all this stuff. We started to have, like, we went into that with a pretty good vision of kind of what we wanted, right? There was a lot of stuff we didn't know and we had to figure out, but we had a pretty good vision because they posted the cool projects, the inspiration for the 2 to 3 years. Okay. We need to then also post the fun and entertaining content too. Pick up on trends. One of my favorite, best examples right now. We just highlighted it on a social spotlight like early this month, like first week of March. Go to our Instagram and find it. By the way, if you want to know like things to do, follow us on Instagram. This isn't a shameless plug given what I'm talking about, although it can come across that way. Follow us on Instagram. Once or twice a month at least, we post a social spotlight of somebody that's doing something well on social media that we want to highlight that you should replicate. If you just follow us, you're getting at least a couple ideas every single month. If you've never watched any of it, great. Now you've got probably a year to year and a half's worth of stuff you can go back and look at. But Bryn Haley with B. Haley Painting in Arkansas, earlier this month, we highlighted this. And they did the fun, like, a 2-person job thing. And it was one person cutting in a baseboard, and then they were laying on a drop cloth, and the second person was just pulling them along. And it was just a fun thing that was going on. And I think it's kind of still is a little bit. It's dying off a little bit of like, what's a 2-person job, right? It's typically was one person like doing the work and the other person like holding something or like whatever, right? And it was just kind of a fun thing that happened. Pick up on these things. Create content about it. Bryn's video went viral. I know it had over a couple million views. And again, views are for vanity, but that just goes to show what people want to watch, what they're willing to share, right? The real measure of how good your content is how many people engage with it, likes, comments, and how many people share it, send it to other people, or post it on their stories. Okay, that's how you can measure what's good content, what people care about. The nice thing about this is you will have people that follow you, right? When we create, posts in stories on, again, I'm going to talk Instagram because to me that's really where it's at that we need to be focusing in on. And again, have it set up to where it just posts to Facebook too. They're owned by Meta. It automatically does it. Okay. So again, you doing it on Instagram, it just happens on Facebook. I just don't spend a ton of time like on Facebook trying to engage and do stuff the way I do on Instagram. But when you create, so posting stories are for people that follow you, Reels is where you will continue to get discovered. Now, Reels go to your page as well. People that follow you will see it, but Reels is where you can get discovered. People are more likely to see your content. They don't know you and your brand. So Reels is where you can do that, right? You should check in the locations that you service on there. You should maybe hashtag like your city, right? Like hashtag St. Louis, hashtag O'Fallon, whatever, St. Louis Painter, like all these different things to where, again, it's more likely to be shown to people here in your kind of local area. But you still may have somebody in Nevada see your post, right? Which they're probably not going to, if they need a paint job, cool. But so again, understand that there's kind of some geographical limitations with some of this. But when you do that, people will start to follow you, right? When you post the cool content, you post the cool Reels, people will follow you, okay? What I would also suggest potentially to think about for those of you guys that it's geographical based, right? You've got your company name on there, and every reel, there's still a caption. You typically see the first sentence of it before you have to click the more button. Maybe in that first sentence, the first thing it should say is STL Painter or STL Painting Company or something, whatever market you're in, right? Because people might be more likely to follow you if they're in your area and they see the really cool stuff you're highlighting, right? The really cool before and afters, the walkthrough videos, the whatever, and they see STL Painter. If I'm in St. Louis and I eventually might need a painter, or I want some inspiration, I'm probably going to follow you, right? Because now I'm like, oh, there's a chance I could use this company. Okay, so that's another thought. But how do we leverage then? And I'm going to get onto the email stuff here in a second. This episode's running a little long here now. Apparently, I just get passionate talking about social media like it's a spreadsheet. So when you get new followers, again, what can we do to try to create and move people along that funnel? This is one of the best things you can do that I know nobody listening to this does, because Dan Martell is the only person I've ever heard teach this. I see people doing it and it works, and I've started doing it in our business slowly. I need to get better about it. I'm trying to implement that into my weekly routines here. But send them a message and just reach out and just say something real simple. If you can click their profile and see that they're in the St. Louis area, even better. Again, example for me, being here in St. Louis. If you don't know, again, you can tweak how you say this message. But here's the message. It's really hard. Hey, Chris, thanks for the follow. Are you here for the design inspiration, or do you have a project on your radar coming up here later this year? ? That's it. Okay. If you don't know that they live here in St. Louis in your service area, hey, thanks for the follow. Are you just here for the design inspiration, or whatever, the cool projects, or the fun content, or both, right? The design inspiration and fun content, or are you a homeowner here in St. Louis looking to have something done this year? ? That's it. It's not threatening. I've had people that I've sent a similar message to. Obviously, ours is crafted about their business. Hey, are you just here for the value add education, or are you looking to take your business to kind of the next level and professionalize this year? I've had people that won't respond to that, which is fine. Maybe they don't see it. Maybe they saw it. They forgot to respond. Maybe they saw it and they didn't want to respond. But guess what? They're still interacting on our content. They're still liking it. They're still commenting on it. That right there is proof that you're not pissing them off by doing it. Right? Again, limiting belief. People will tell me, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be salesy, or they just followed me. I don't want to push them away. You're not going to. And if that really pushes somebody away, then they're not going to be a good client for you. They're not going to use your services. Y'all aren't going to get along. Okay. So create content that's going to get new followers and then leverage that. It's a simple question. It's a simple thing. It's not hard to do. Anybody on here can do it. Okay. What I want to hit on just real quick as we wrap up, because again, I went long in there, but I wanted to really hammer in, I think, on what's most important on how we're leveraging social media. The other thing, we should be doing an email blast to our funnel, to our database, at least once a month, anywhere between every 2 weeks to once a month, somewhere in that gap, 14 to 28 to 30 days. Okay. We should do a blast to them. Feel free, again, if you're using MailChimp, maybe you have a tag set up that's your previous clients, to where you could send loyalty specific emails to them. Again, maybe it's a discount or something like that for your loyal previous customers. And then you just have your general database that's everybody that we're talking about here. Okay. We should, again, talk about pain point solution. But I do want to make it value add. We've talked about that a lot on this show. If you're new here, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it today. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect more and chat about it. But like, make it value add. Make it something that's beneficial to them as a homeowner, as a citizen in your target market or in your area, your service area, whatever it is. Make it value add, because that's what's going to keep your open rate up. On average, our clients have like a 50 to 65% open rate, which is 5 to 6 times the national average. National average for email marketing is 10%. Make it value add to where they keep reading it, but then also have that like pain point solution in there, right? Also have like what's going to make somebody want to work with you. You're kind of pre-selling your value there, right? And this is where, again, we can go way too passive and just be way too focused on value add, or we can kind of ask for like the quote, right? And give them a reason why we want to push them along. So what I would say is this. I'm going to leave you with 2 thoughts. Number 1, doing everything I just talked about. It creates you as a professional authority figure in your community. Lean into that. Be bigger than you really are. It's okay. I've got one of our clients here in St. Louis. I won't say their name, although this is a compliment, but they've always done a great job on social media. A lot of people have gotten to know them through social media. And, if they meet them, whatever, and they start talking like, how big is your company, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're a pretty small company still, like operationally, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But everyone's like, wow, I thought you had like 25 employees, right? And they think it because of social. Right? That's okay. It's not a bad thing, right? We're not faking it. We're not saying we have 25 employees, and we don't. But doing all of these things, it starts to create that professional authority figure people are going to lean into. They're going to look to when they need something done painting-wise, and they've seen you on social media. They've been following you. They've looked in your content. They know your professionalism. They know you communicate because they've seen it. They've read it in an email. That's the goal, right? And the fact that we can kind of control, again, how we're marketing to people, what we're saying, how we're reaching out to them on social media. If you don't have any leads right now, reach out to your followers on social media. Again, if you can tell they're in your market, or just ask them. Hey, just was curious. We've got some openings coming up. We wanted to reach out to some of our followers. Look for the people that are engaging in your content, liking, commenting, interacting with your stories, watching your stories. If you post a story, you can see who watched it. Go through those and start there. Okay? Everything I just shared was the last thought. Everything I just shared is a long-term strategy for your business with a lot of short-term upside, especially if you're doing the sell by chat that Dan calls it, especially if you're reaching out to people, you're being proactive with that. Long-term strategy, short-term upside. Focus on this. Make this a part of your weekly cadence. Make this a part of your marketing plan, especially if you're slow. Now is the time to dive deep into this. Thanks for plugging into this week's episode. I hope you're able to take a few nuggets away from it to implement into your business. Remember, knowledge without implementation is useless. If you're curious about what we do and how we help painting contractors all over North America, schedule a free business analysis meeting with us at www.elitebusinessadvisors.com. Our entire team of advisors have ran and managed painting companies just like myself and are here to help support you on your journey. We have packages available for contractors at every stage of business, from flying solo and just starting out, all the way to multi-million-dollar businesses. And lastly, if you love this episode, please leave us a rating and a review. It helps others on the platform find our podcast, and it could be the best blessing that's ever happened to them thanks to you. Thanks for plugging in, and we'll see you back for next week's episode.